Okay, guys, welcome back to the channel. Yes, I'm dressed up again, so it must mean it's a Thursday night in Houston. Actually, I'm trying to get a lot of videos in the hopper for all next week. I'm going to be out of town, spring break, going to be in Austin and also Vegas. It's also my birthday week, so if you're going to be in Vegas, March 18th through the 20th, give me a shout out. We're going to be partying there, having a good time. Lots of good stuff for members potentially in those videos. But any case, wanted to talk about a few things in this video. Number one being, I'm going to showcase the same 3 tracks I've been showing on other systems that were popular at the Florida Audio Show. I'm going to show them in this video on the MBL Extremes, or I'll probably link the video at the end. I've been putting music clips all in their own videos so that it's easier for you to benchmark and just bring up those videos without listening to any introduction or commentary. But the other thing I wanted to showcase today was so ironic. In one of my videos recently, I mentioned Greybeard speakers, which was similar to the Acora with their very high resin composite cabinet structure, kind of close to granite. And then they used like a tile facade to the outside. Very rare. I'm one of the few people that have heard them because they were only in business for 2 years. And ironically, Steve McCormick, who I get my amps from, shared a room with them at CES. And that's where I met him and got exposed to that speaker. But very few people have ever heard him and know even about him. Well, what I learned, so ironic, I mentioned that in a video, literally within a week or two after, Tate, who makes those cool racks, the ultrasonic racks with the LED and acrylic lighting, he knows a guy here in Houston that bought this guy's got a museum of 20 years ago audio stuff. He's got it all. I mean, this guy's collected everything, never sold anything. But he's up in age, looking to liquidate everything now that he can't hear anymore and going more headphones only. And he bought at the time, many years ago, the entire inventory of Greybeard audio speakers after the person died. As I mentioned, he was only in business for a few years, died, unfortunately. And let me just tell you, they were at the time one of the ugliest speakers I've ever seen, but almost in an endearing way now, 20 years later, that when I heard that I had just mentioned them in a video and then somebody has the only remaining pairs remain, I'm sure some of them are still in action, but probably these are as rare as it gets in terms of finding speakers, that I was like, man, just for nostalgia purposes, I'm interested in buying them. And so Tate was able to acquire at least one pair, brought them over to 3MA Audio for me to check out, and look for me to purchase it. Now, unfortunately, this particular pair of the 3 pairs that this gentleman have, this pair came over initially, and it seems to have 3 drivers defective, which after 20 years, it's not related to, though, the rubber surrounds or anything. It's just the drivers aren't playing for some reason. So I'm not sure what happened there. So I don't have a sound report yet on these. And obviously, I'll put up pictures, or maybe I'll scoot over here so I can have room for the video, for the pictures for you to take a look at. They're very polarizing in looks, and trust me, they can go either way. But here's the thing: if you're not into aesthetics being the predominant decision-making factor, when you wrap your knuckles on these cabinets, it is as hard and as firm and as solid as those Rockport Cygnus, if not more. I mean, you cannot get a denser cabinet than what I've found with these Greybeards. And that provides a ton of benefits in terms of resonances and other things that, again, Acora with their current Granite speakers and other speaker makers that are similar to Rockport, the YG with the very thick, on their big models, they do very thick aluminum. It's extremely beneficial to have cabinet material made like that. And I've talked in the past, if you've been a long-time subscriber, about Panzerholz for a cabinet material. Far better than MDF. If applied right. I mean, all of these things have to be applied correctly. You can always get some sort of resonance, but man, there's no way you could get a Greybeard speaker made today for any less than what these Acoras and Rockports are selling for now. And quite frankly, the crossover parts that were used in the Greybeards were A+ back then, still would be today. So I was anxious to hear them, but unfortunately, this pair had some broken drivers. So Can't give a sound report yet. There's 2 other pairs, and I'm currently in the process of working with Tate via this other guy to see if we can't make a deal and get these, because even though they're ugly ducklings, at least in my mind, for nostalgia purposes and almost like, an unattractive dog that you would get, they're cute in some way. And also with tile, one thing you got to remember, you can paint tile. Once you sand it down and prime it, it is a paintable surface. So I could do my black and white theme on that and do some fun stuff. So just something that may be in the hopper. Again, it's kind of wishy-washy right now due to the current snafu that we had with this pair, but I'll show you a picture of it and give you a little blast from the past experience that not a lot of people know about. But anyway, getting back to today as well, while I was at 3MA, the Lenny with MoFi, who also represents those Hi-Fi Rose streamers, which were really impressive. If you watch my videos from Florida Audio Show, great display. The whole front panel is basically a video screen, and lots of variabilities with that video screen, lots of things they can do with YouTube videos, which I've featured in the past. It's very important with any streamer you buy, at least in my opinion, to have that capability and see that content. That's so great. So he was there, got to meet him and talk even more than I did at this show. Great guy. He also represents the Piega speakers, which have always fascinated me because they are coaxial ribbons, which nobody else really does that. And when you have the same driver material covering such a wide frequency range, it's one of the reasons why I've always gravitated to Maggie's. I've had Martin Logan's in the past, and I have Wisdom Audio in the other room. When you have the same driver material covering most of the frequency range, you have a coherency that some Pistonic drivers just can't match, because they've got a silk dome tweeter here, or beryllium, or diamond. Then they got paper cone driver, or is it Kevlar, or is it carbon fiber? Those things are going to sound different, and they overlap depending on what slope of the crossover. First order crossover, they overlap a lot. Steeper crossovers depends on how much each driver overlaps, but each one's going to have a sonic flavor that's different for the same frequency. And that to me is kind of bothersome. It's something that I pick out and don't really like. Other people are less sensitive to that and they care about other things. So I'm not saying this is the only way of doing things, but I find a big benefit in the same driver material being used for the entire frequency range, or at least most of it until you get to the bass. And that's why a lot of people prefer single driver speakers as well. That same coherency is somewhat magical within the constraints of the other trade-offs you have, especially with single driver speakers. But with Piega, there really aren't that many trade-offs at all. And I'm surprised it hasn't really taken off in the US, but it's been a long-standing brand. It's not a Johnny-come-lately brand. So it's one speaker that you definitely want to check out if you go to shows and see if that style of speaker resonates with you. So wanted to kind of give you all this information based on today, right before I leave town. Well, without further ado, let's hear the MBL Extremes with those same 3 tracks from Florida Audio Show that I think you'll find interesting.